All right, so let's dive into something I think we all encounter, that delicate dance of making and canceling plans. You know those moments when you're uh, trying to like nail down specifics without uh, sounding too demanding
Oh,
or
yeah.
gracefully like bowing out without burning bridges? It's a universal puzzle. And today we're unpacking some strategies
Okay.
from a kind of unexpected source,
Mm-hmm.
an English language learning podcast
Mm-hmm.
called Speak Fluent English. Now, before you think, wait, I'm already
No.
fluent, stick with me here.
Okay.
What's fascinating is they go beyond just vocabulary. They offer tips for smoother social interactions, no matter what language you speak.
I'm intrigued. Language learning podcasts often focus on,
Yeah.
just the mechanics, but it sounds like this one. It goes into like the art of communication.
Exactly. And they use these
Huh.
clever role-playing scenarios to
You know-
demonstrate the nuances. They even give you like specific phrases you can use, almost like a cheat sheet for these awkward moments.
I like that. The idea of a cheat sheet, it takes out the guesswork, especially when you're navigating social situations where the stakes feel kind of high.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at their approach to making plans.
Yeah.
They emphasize clarity and options. It's not just about throwing out a vague, want to hang out sometime.
Right. Yeah. It's about treating it like a
Yeah.
mini negotiation.
Right,
Each
right.
person have their, preferences and constraints. And the goal is to find that sweet spot where everybody feels heard.
Exactly. And they give this great example, like instead of that vague hangout, they suggest something like, do you want to grab sushi at that new place downtown on Saturday?
Okay.
It's specific. It's an invitation. It gives the other person something concrete to say yes to.
I see that. The details not only clarify, but also they signal thoughtfulness and enthusiasm. It's like you're saying, hey, I've actually put some effort into this.
Right. It goes beyond a simple ask. And to illustrate this further, they have this role play scene where two hosts are making plans to see a movie.
Okay, I'm picturing the scene. What happens?
So one host invites the other to the movie. And then the other host doesn't just say yes. They suggest, hey, how about we grab dinner afterwards too? It's subtle, but it shows they're not just passively accepting. They're actively engaging and contributing to the plan.
That's fascinating how that simple addition just transforms it. It shifts from a one-sided invitation to a collaborative thing, which builds excitement.
It's like they're saying, I'm not just along for the ride. I want to make this even better. And that back and forth, that feeling of co-creation, I think it makes the whole experience more enjoyable.
Absolutely. It sets the stage for a more connected and fulfilling interaction.
Okay, now let's tackle the flip side, canceling plans.
Yeah.
Those moments when you have to bail, and it can feel super awkward.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there. You don't want to disappoint anyone.
Correct.
Seem flaky. But sometimes life happens.
Right. And this podcast doesn't shy away from the discomfort. They emphasize honesty and politeness as the guiding principles. Sounds obvious. But you'd be surprised how many people just vanish or make up these elaborate excuses.
Yeah, it's like they forget that even a brief, genuine explanation can go a long way.
Right. It's like saying, this isn't important enough for me to be truthful. But even a simple, something came up, can we reschedule? Shows respect for the other person's time and feelings.
And that respect is crucial when you consider that. Canceling plans can be like a mini rejection, but by being upfront and offering to reschedule, you're reframing it as a postponement, which is much easier to swallow.
Totally. And to showcase this, they have another role play scene where one host has to cancel the movie plan because of a sudden work deadline.
Okay. How does that play out? What do they highlight in that?
So instead of just saying, sorry, can't make it, the host immediately suggests, how about we catch it next week instead? They take ownership of the cancellation, offer a reason, and demonstrate a commitment to rescheduling.
I see. It's a proactive approach to maintaining that social connection. It's not just about extracting yourself from the plan. It's about preserving the relationship.
And I love how the other host in the scenario responds. With understanding. They don't guilt trip. It highlights the importance of flexibility and empathy on both sides.
Absolutely. Graceful cancellations required a dance from both people.
Now, throughout these scenarios, the podcast gives all these handy phrases you can use, both for making and canceling plans. Some of them are real gems.
Ooh, do tell. What are some of the standout phrases?
Well, for making plans, they suggest things like, are you free on day? Or how about we activity at place on day? It's all about being clear, concise, and offering concrete options.
Those are great. Straightforward, yet inviting, removes ambiguity. What about for canceling?
Okay, here's where it gets interesting. They have phrases like, I'm so sorry, but something came up. Can we reschedule? Or, I won't be able to make it because of reason, but how about alternative? What I find insightful is their emphasis on owning the cancellation, not just saying, I can't make it, but offering a brief explanation, even if it's just something came up.
That's a subtle but powerful distinction. It shows that you understand the potential impact on the other person.
And what's even more intriguing is they encourage listeners to practice these phrases. It's like they're acknowledging that using language confidently in real-life situations requires more than just understanding the words themselves.
That's so valuable. It's one thing to passively absorb information. It's another to actually, integrate it.
And it got me thinking, even though this is an English learning podcast, these strategies are so universal. They're like little social scripts that can help anyone navigate these situations.
More grace and confidence. I'm curious, which phrases do you find yourself using most often?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think "I'm so sorry, but something came up" is my go-to for canceling plans.
Yeah.
It's concise, polite. What about you?
You know I'm a big fan of. How about we activity a place on day? I like how it combines a suggestion with specifics. It just seems to make the whole process flow more smoothly. But I think the real question here is for all of you listening. Which phrases resonate most with you? Which ones could you see yourself using? And maybe even practice them a bit, just to get comfortable with them. That's a great challenge. By identifying the phrases, feel most authentic, that can build a personalized toolkit.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you and feeling confident in your ability to navigate these situations with grace and clarity. But before we get too carried away with our newfound social scripting skills, let's take a moment to consider the deeper implications of what we've uncovered here. I mean, think about it. This all started with the Language Learning Podcast, but it's really about so much more than just words, right?
Absolutely. It's about understanding the subtle dynamics
Yeah.
of human interaction, the unwritten rules of social etiquette, and ultimately, how to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships through clear and respectful communication.
Well said. And speaking of building relationships, let's make a short break and then come back to explore even deeper insights from this fascinating episode. Stay tuned. Welcome back, We're unpacking these confidence cheat sheets for making and canceling plans. I'm struck by how much psychology is involved in something we often take for granted.
Yeah, it's true. These seemingly simple interactions are actually like microcosms of relationship building, full of unspoken expectations, potential pitfalls, and opportunities to strengthen bonds.
It's like every time we make a plan, we're making a mini promise. And when we cancel, we're navigating the potential disappointment or even frustration of the other person.
Yeah.
There's this delicate balance of managing expectations, being accountable, and preserving the connection.
Yeah, you hit on something really important. It's almost like our ability to handle these smaller commitments reflects our ability to navigate larger, more complex relationships. If we can't gracefully handle a canceled coffee date, how will we navigate disagreements in a work project or family dynamic?
That's a great point. It's like these small interactions are practice for those bigger relationship moments, honing our skills in communication, empathy, and compromise.
And it goes beyond just personal relationships. Think about the business world. Making and meeting deadlines, negotiating contracts, even just scheduling meetings. It all relies on this same dance of clarity, commitment, and respect.
It's amazing how these insights from an English learning podcast can be applied to so many different areas of life. It's like we've uncovered this universal framework for successful interactions.
What I find particularly fascinating is how these seemingly simple phrases can tap into powerful psychological principles. For example, offering options when making plans not only provides clarity, but it empowers the other person to feel a sense of control.
It's like you're saying, hey, this isn't about dictating terms. It's about finding something that works for both of us.
Exactly. And then there's the psychology of owning a cancellation. Instead of just saying, I can't make it, offering a brief explanation, even if it's just something came up, demonstrates respect and consideration.
It's like you're acknowledging that your actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And you're willing to take responsibility for them.
I'm also reminded of the Ben Franklin effect, where doing a small favor for someone can actually increase their liking for you. Well, canceling isn't a favor. Offering to reschedule taps into a similar dynamic.
That's such an interesting connection. It's like you're turning a potentially negative experience into an opportunity to strengthen the bond.
And it all circles back to the idea of social capital. Every interaction, even a simple plan-making exchange, is a chance to deposit or withdraw from this invisible bank account of trust and goodwill.
So using clear, respectful language and being mindful of the other person's feelings, those are like deposits into that social capital account.
Exactly. And over time, those deposits build up, creating a reservoir of trust and understanding that can help us weather the inevitable storms of life.
You know, what's really striking me is how this whole conversation has highlighted the power of language. It's not just about conveying information, it's about shaping perceptions, influencing emotions, and ultimately building or eroding relationships.
That's a profound realization. Words have weight. They can be tools of connection and understanding, or they can be weapons of hurt and disconnection.
It's like we've been given this secret code book for unlocking smoother social interactions. But the real challenge is using this knowledge wisely and ethically. It's not about manipulating people or getting what we want. It's about fostering genuine connection and understanding.
Absolutely. It's about using this newfound awareness to become more mindful communicators, more attuned to the impact of our words, and more intentional about building stronger, healthier relationships.
Okay, I have to ask, all this talk about social scripts and psychological tactics, does it ever feel a little calculated, like we're overthinking something that should be natural and spontaneous?
That's a valid concern, but I think it's important to remember that intentionality doesn't have to equate to insincerity. Just as a chef uses their knowledge of ingredients and techniques to create a delicious meal, we can use our understanding of communication principles to create more satisfying social interactions.
I like that analogy. It's about taking something that can be haphazard and elevating it with skill and care.
Exactly, and the beauty is that this practice doesn't have to be a chore. By bringing awareness to our communication patterns, we can inject more fun and creativity into our social interactions.
You know, as we're diving deeper into this, I'm realizing how interconnected all these concepts are. Language psychology, social dynamics, even ethics. It's like this intricate web where each thread influences the others.
What's fascinating to me is how this web extends beyond just making and canceling plans. It's relevant in every aspect of our lives, from our intimate relationships to our professional collaborations, even our interactions with strangers in the grocery store.
It's like we've been given this new lens through which to view the world of social interactions, and suddenly everything looks a little different, a little more nuanced, a little more full of possibility.
It's almost as if we've been granted access to a secret control panel where we can fine-tune the dials of communication to create more harmonious and fulfilling experiences. But before we get too carried away with our newfound powers, I'm curious to hear what stands out to you. What are your biggest aha moments so far?
You know what's really hit home for me is this idea of plan making as a microcosm of relationship building. It's like a tiny window into how we approach trust, commitment, and respect in all areas of our lives. And realizing that even the smallest interactions can either strengthen or weaken those bonds. That's been a real game changer. What about you? What's resonating most with you?
For me, it's the realization that effective communication isn't just about what we say, but also about how we say it. The subtle nuances of language, the power of owning our cancellations, the importance of offering options. These seemingly small choices can make all the difference in creating positive and fulfilling social experiences.
It's like we've unlocked a secret level of social intelligence, a deeper understanding of the intricate dance between language and relationships. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm left with this lingering question. How can we use these insights to not only navigate social situations more effectively, but to actually become better, more empathetic, more connected human beings? That's something I think we all need to ponder. This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the complexities of something as simple as making and canceling plans.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing how these everyday interactions are mini laboratories for relationships.
We've been talking about social scripts, psychological tactics, even a bit of ethical philosophy. It's a lot deeper than just knowing the right phrases to use.
And yet those phrases are still important. They're the tools we use to put those deeper principles into practice. It's like the difference between knowing how to bake a cake and actually having the ingredients to do it.
I love that analogy. We can have all the theoretical knowledge, but without the practical skills, it's just theory.
Right. And what's exciting is these practical skills, like using clear language offering options and owning our cancellations, are things we can all learn.
You know, one thing that's really sticking with me is that idea of every interaction being a deposit or withdrawal from that social capital account. It makes you think twice about how you handle even the smallest exchanges.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even small moments can have a ripple effect.
And it's not about being nice or polite. It's about being intentional and respectful.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about recognizing that. Communication isn't just about getting our point across. It's about fostering connection, understanding, and empathy.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with?
I think the most important thing is to remember, we all have the power to become more skillful communicators. It's not about memorizing scripts or manipulating people. It's about cultivating a mindset of respect, clarity, and intentionality in all our interactions.
Beautifully said. It's about recognizing that even the most mundane social situations can be opportunities to practice empathy, build trust, and strengthen those invisible bonds that connect us all.
And who knows, maybe by mastering these seemingly small social graces, we can create a ripple effect of kindness and understanding.
What a beautiful thought to end on. So to all of you listening, the next time you find yourself making or canceling plans, remember the insights we've uncovered today. Approach those interactions with awareness, intention, and a genuine desire to connect. And most importantly, remember that every conversation, no matter how small, is an opportunity to make a positive impact on the world around you.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep connecting.